Let's go ahead and do item 7.3, consideration of a letter of support for California Coastal Conservancy LiDAR derivatives funding. Did you want to start off and speak on that? Okay. Mr. Rothstein.
So good afternoon again, Supervisors. Matthew Rothstein, Chief Deputy County Administrative Officer. As you'll be aware, the United States Geological Survey, USGS, and the California Department of Conservation recently funded collection of LiDAR data throughout Lake County. And initial LiDAR collection is complete, and data is being refined over the course of 2024. In order for the data to be most usable for natural resource and fuels management and other purposes, LiDAR derivatives additionally need to be developed. These are data layers that provide information such as canopy height, cover and bulk density, information on ladder fuels, and historical data on past ignitions, as well as overlaying data on the probability of extreme fire weather in the area, for example. You may recall that the county has included LiDAR derivatives in multiple recent grant applications approved by your board. This priority was included in Lake County Resource Conservation District-led CAL FIRE grant applications approved by your board February 28, 2023 and January 9, 2024. On Thursday, February 22, 2024, we were made aware the California Coastal Conservancy is considering funding a LiDAR derivative development project encompassing a larger area in collaboration with at least the North Coast Resource Partnership, NCRP, and Coastal San Luis Resource Conservation District. Fortunately, the Coastal Conservancy expressed interest in funding LiDAR derivatives in Lake County in connection to that broader effort, and staff was able to confirm that no matching funds are required. So all of that was truly outstanding news. Tuckman Geospatial, who's a contractor that we've worked with to develop information for grant applications in the past, they were the ones putting together the proposal for the Coastal Conservancy and had a need to turn around their detailed proposal by end of day Friday, February 23, 2024, and they indicated a need for a letter of support from Lake County to be included with their proposal. And given that this was an established county priority and the quick turnaround required, Supervisor Pyska provided a letter of support on her letterhead to support Lake County's inclusion in the proposal. And today's action is asking your board to ratify Supervisor Pyska's letter, and staff recommends that you ratify the letter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for the presentation. Any comments or questions?
I would just thank you to staff for moving so quickly on this. This is a really big priority. We're halfway through the project. It's already been funded, the collection and the derivatives. Obviously, this is our third attempt to try and get this funding, so we cannot let an opportunity slip past us. So it's not an ideal timeline, but it is what it is, and we acted in the way that we felt most appropriate to make sure that we could be considered for this opportunity. So I am asking that the board ratify this letter today.
Okay. Any further comments or questions from the board? So I will make a statement that I think we need to be careful in how we speak for the board when the board has not taken action. This will be the third time that I've seen this occur. The last one was with the CSA, number 2, where there was a timeline issue and a board support letter was provided and granted. Obviously, yes, we want to support, but none of us here in this room individually can speak for the board without approval from the board, or at least speak in support of something that the board has not provided yet. This was different. Yes, it supports LiDAR, but I think that you attempted, and I don't think you were completely successful. Yes, it was on your letterhead, but you used the term "we," and you said Lake County would be happy to join, and I don't believe any of us get to speak in that way about Lake County without coming to us first. The previous one, again, was the CSA, and then the previous one before that was the BGN. And so I just want to make that statement that we need to be careful, and if timelines are short, We have the ability to get 2 supervisors to sign a letter and provide that letter of support, but we do not get to write as if we are already getting that approval from the board. This letter, I will provide my support because now that it's in front of us, yes, I will support that. I would like to see it changed with the all 5 names because right now it just has your name. But I just think we need to recognize our limitations of power as board individuals. I went over the policies and procedures for the Board of Supervisors, and this ability does not exist for us to take even if we bring it back to the board for ratification. And it's just an open can of worms, because if somebody brings us something that we don't like, then what do we do if it's already sent out? And so I want to make sure that we always come back to the board. Yes, we've had issues with the number of meetings in this past 2 months. It's been really hectic, hence why we have such a large agenda. But I don't believe that timeliness should ever bypass the board as a whole, and that we need to figure out what other avenues are available to us. And so I'll leave it at that.
And I'll just add that the board has already approved this type of funding, although different sources, twice before.
And I think that we do that regularly and still have to come back to the board for approval when things change. Just because we support a telepsychiatric ability for behavioral health, once we go to a different agency to create a different agreement, that we have to go through that process. This is a different agreement, therefore a new agreement that we'd have to go through.
Okay, so sorry, we used the word we. I should have had the word I. And staff and I won't make that mistake again. But again, this is the 3rd request for funding.
What are we talking about here? We're talking about this letter, or?
Yeah. No, I was just saying this is not the...
referring to other.
This is not the first time I've had conversations with our CAO, and at the end here it says, "We are aware the Coastal Conservancy is considering funding a suite of LiDAR derivatives for a larger territory, and Lake County would be very excited." And I just think that it could have been reworded so that it was specific from the Board of Supervisors, not the board, because again, we are not eligible to speak for the board without the prior approval or discussion of the board to know exactly where we stand on the specifics.
Okay, and then you mentioned other letters.
Yes,
And you said one, I heard BGN, but then you said another one.
yeah, the CSA number 2 that we had, I believe it was either December that we ratified a letter of support that was provided by the chair, and then came to us like the week later or something like that for us to ratify. And again, I think that there's avenues to make that letter of support with 2, but you don't get to speak for the board.
Okay. I suppose, that's a surprise to me, but.
for everything.
I'm not certain how, okay. I said my statement. But again, happy to support this. I would love to see the change, though, with the header to have all 5 of our names on there, if approved, so that we can show the full board support as well.
Well, again, thank you for notifying me of this, and we'll make sure anything that's done that way, we'll keep it to that spectrum. Also would appreciate that in the public, when statements are made on behalf of the board in verbal form, it's kept with the same thought process as well.
Okay. Any further comments? Supervisor Green.
Thank you. This is confusing to me. Normally when we do letters of support, they come, the full board listens, we take a vote, and the letter of support is sent off with the chair's signature. This letter did not follow that pattern. I guess there may have been other letters too. So in the absence of there's no clear protocol. It sounds like there's some oral history, or at least some understandings that letters of support can go out in various iterations. But I couldn't find anything in the board procedures or protocols that really address letters of support generally. But even if there was, the idea that you could go ahead and fire off a letter on short notice and then bring it to the board for ratification. I can't ratify something that's already been sent off with any confidence. And specifically, even if the board has previously supported prior grant applications, I got a little background information on this, but I still don't know what this letter of support is supporting. So I'm uncomfortable, I want to offer all my colleagues all due flexibility in wheeling and dealing with government agencies, but if there was some deadline that crept up on us, either our inattention to that or the lack of 2 meetings prior to that handicapped our ability to timely bring a letter of support that the full board can consider, I don't know that there's a sense of urgency in my mind that this letter needed to get sent. I'm not sure whatever was already in process could have continued without this county chiming in in support of that, and maybe that's just my own discomfort with letters of support. And generally, we treat them like baseball cards. They're like these treasured little pieces of paper that we trade back and forth between agencies. So maybe this just seemed like another letter of support going out. And maybe my colleagues will totally ratify this today, but I'm not aware of a policy or procedure that allows me to ratify a letter that's already been sent out. I do see a procedure to ratify an emergency declaration that the sheriff and OES has put out, but I don't even know what I'm supporting or opposing here, but I guess I oppose the idea that we're ratifying a letter after it's been sent.
Any further comments, Supervisor Pyska?
Well, I'll just remind you that we sent a letter of support and we approved a grant in December for this exact project, just a different funding stream. And we were alerted to this funding opportunity on Thursday, and the letter was due Friday. So there was no other time to bring this to a meeting. That was it. And this is a partnership. One of our frustrations for a lot of our projects, particularly with LiDAR and with our other fuels projects, is that we're not part of other partnerships. And we try and we try and we try to be part of these regional partnerships, and we're continually excluded. And so, yes, this is probably an afterthought. Maybe because Lake County is always complaining that we're not included in partnerships, we should offer this opportunity, and it's probably at the last minute. And that's likely what happened, because we're not part of the Coastal Partnership. We're not part of the North Coast Regional Partnership. We keep banging on their door and asking to be part of it. And so that's likely why we were an afterthought for this, and why we weren't prepared in advance to have a better opportunity to come to the board. So we made the decision, I made the decision, staff supported me on this, and this is critical funding. This is a project that we've been working on, I've been working on for 3 years? 3 years. We've already had the data collection. That was a $500,000 project from USGS and the Department of Conservation. And all of that is useless without the derivatives. That's why this is such an important project. And I know you never supported this in the beginning, and that's fine. But this is critical data for our county. And so, I wrote the letter, we wrote the letter, and if there's issues with it and I use the word we, then I apologize for that, and I will never do that again. And it will come straight from me. But I'm not going to apologize for sending this letter in, because it's so critical for us moving forward.
If we previously approved a letter of support for a different funding stream, I guess,
Yes.
but you found out about this other funding stream on Thursday?
Yes. We've already been unsuccessful, as Matthew had said. We wrote in a grant, in a CAL FIRE grant last winter, unsuccessful. We put it in another CAL FIRE grant in December. We don't know if that's going to happen. Can we risk, given the deficit and given how much lower the CAL FIRE grants are now, we can't risk losing this opportunity, especially. This is the best opportunity we actually have, because the Coastal Conservancy is funding this for the entire North Coast when they did the LiDAR flyover. So we are actually being lumped into their project, which is what we asked for 3 years ago.
Well, if it's that urgent and you
It is
found out
that
about it
urgent.
Thursday, then the process might have been, rather than just fire off the letter and try to get backdated ratification, maybe this is an urgent item that could have been added to the agenda after it was posted, if it was that urgent. I don't know if it would have met those findings of like public
No, it
health,
was
safety.
due on Friday. It was added to the
She-
agenda.
she
It's
ma-
here
she
on the
made it-
agenda.
She made it on the agenda in time. So there's no need for an extra item or urgent.
It just was due on Friday. Matthew called me about 1 o'clock on Thursday.
Are there any further comments? All right, open it up for the public. Any questions or comments from the public? Kyle, Bill, please.
Yeah, I think maybe looking at a process where, because we know in the grant sector, the timelines can often be short when you find out funding opportunities or things, and you don't definitely want to miss out on an opportunity to, support something that's important to the community. So I think maybe even outlining a process where each supervisor might have the ability to, draft something that can be in support of, so that it's at least helps the application look a little bit stronger and better when it does come time to be considered. But also just looking at obviously not making it a habit of, not making, getting things on the agenda that are upcoming, but also knowing that, I myself working in the nonprofit sector know how quickly grants can, pop up in your mailbox or, be notified. And so the timely response is sometimes very short. So looking at how do we, help navigate those shorter timelines that are transparent with everybody, with the community and what's going on, but also not. It's a delicate dance that has to be sometimes have to be done. But so how to navigate it in a way where there's more transparency, inclusion with all the supervisors, but also not allowing precious funding that is already very competitive being missed for the county as well.
Thank you for your comments. Any further public comments? Seeing none, bringing it back to the board.
Mr. Chair, I think we had the CAO had something.
Oh, CIO Parker.
Yes, I just
Hear
wanted,
the flick of the button.
that's all right. I just wanted to add that we have currently already started drafting a process to be placed in your protocols regarding letters, U.S. trust requests, and there's one more, and I can't remember it. But these are things that your protocols are silent on, just for clarification, and we'll bring it back to the board for your final, blessing to be added to the protocols, just so we avoid any misunderstanding.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Looking for action on this item?
Mr. Chair, I move that we ratify a letter of support for California Coastal Conservancy LiDAR derivatives funding.
Are we amending the letter with the name changes?
As amended.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.